recording that George St. Pierre was back in the UFC. We text George. George wrote us back while we're still recording and said, no, at this point it's rumor, but we're getting close to signing. Apparently he has.
So the information that came out behind the scenes was that the negotiations were going nowhere. They were at a practice, and George just told Freddie Roach, hey, what's going on? Freddie Roach gets on the phone, calls Ari, who apparently he knows, and got the ball rolling, got the deal signed, and now George St. Pierre's new corner man is Freddie Roach. Does that mean his longtime corner
for us
is out?
Not a chance. Not a chance. It just means Freddie will now also be in the corner. I mean, I'm speaking now not on information, but no, Freddie's the guy, or Faraz is the guy, but Freddie will be there, and I think that's great. They're a really good fit. You know, George is always out in L.A. He's always training with Freddie Roach, and Freddie's the man. I mean, if you can get Freddie, you grab Freddie, right?
I guess. I mean, it's always worked so great in the past having boxers coach MMA fighters.
Well, and he's got, Freddie helped get the deal done. I wish I knew the intricacies of that. I don't know what Freddie would have said to Ari to let him know other than, hey, I'm standing here with George and he wants to do a deal. Here's the interesting part if you want to live in the world of speculation, which I do, which I think is more fun than actually having the info, is I think George has an opponent.
I know. Well, of course, we know he has an opponent. The question is who is that opponent? And I think it's Nick Diaz.
Yeah, I know that you've been saying that, and sure that would, that would do fine business. That just doesn't tickle me as a fan. I'm kind of looking at it going, well, I've already seen that fight once. I think if George is coming back, I think the rumors that he put out a while ago that he wants to go to 85, wants to challenge for the title. Bisping's the champ. It's him and Bisping. Bisping wants that fight. What does that do with Yoel Romero? Well, we're going to have to find out. But if I had to pick, if you just wanted me to put a prediction out there, I think it's going to be Bisping and George.
Not Bisping or not George and Conor.
Well, see, that's interesting too. Nobody's talked about that. I appreciate you bringing that up because that's also very possible they could come out with that. And I also think Anderson Silva is in the running there to be in the mix. So what do you do with Bisping? Because you've got the Yoel thing. That fight's already been announced that it's going to happen. Of course, we know the landscape changes fast and things change. But if you did want to preserve that fight, yes, Conor versus GSP, that's very interesting. I don't think that's off the table.
One of the things that's
the biggest fight you could make right there. That's the big, absolute number one biggest fight that would ever be made in the history of MMA.
One of the things that MMA, the insiders, the corporate guys have gotten better at is keeping a secret. You could never keep a secret up until a few months ago when Coker kept the Fedor Mitrione secret. And now we have GSP's out and he's coming back and nobody knows who that opponent is. You know as well as I do. You've got your hand on the pulse of the inside community. You don't know so much that what you like to do is to tell everybody but you can't tell them. You're not even there.
No, I'm not there. And that is true. Sometimes I am given information. And, that's what helps with this show is to give information. But sometimes you are given information and you're told, hey, look, this is a secret between us, and you just can't reveal it. I'm holding no cards back here. But I'm a fan on this one. Now, when you bring up Conor, is Conor crazy enough to do that? And I think the answer is yes. Would George do that fight? Yeah, of course George would do that fight.
Well, Freddie Roach has also said that he thinks the Floyd-Conor fight's going to happen. So if Freddie's cornering GSP and he's giving that information out, maybe he's doing a swerve, but that would indicate that maybe the Bisping or maybe the Nick fight is there. I'll tell you, we had a chance to go out and train at Gilbert's gym. Gilbert set it up for us that we could go in there and train at his gym. The last thing I said to Gilbert was, Gilbert, it's 5-1 odds that GSP next opponent is Nick. I bet $200, and he was radio silent since then. That doesn't mean anything either way, but he did not respond in any way, shape, or form.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, you got Nick on the table. I just want to think he'd be the first option. I just wanted. I think the other matches I mentioned, particularly just because they haven't happened. Bisping is the champion. George wants to be the champion. I think he likes that matchup. Bisping wants the match. So, boom, you've got two guys that have already said yes. You just did the easiest. You just made the promoter's job very easy. Secondly, could it be? Yeah, sure, absolutely. You've got Anderson versus St. Pierre that people wanted to see forever. There's no title on the line. They can come up with their own weight class. I mean, they could get as creative as they wanted with that fight, and it works. And then you got the Conor thing. You got the Conor. Conor's the champ, so he'd have to go up to 170. He's done that before. I think Conor might be the weak link in that, where he's looking at it going, I don't think so. But I don't know. The way their contracts are structured and how big that fight would be. And Conor's crazy, man. We got to give him his due. The time of questioning Conor McGregor is long behind us. That guy is the real deal. He probably would sign off.
The Bisping fight, the only way I see it is I see it at a catch weight of 180 pounds, it being a super fight, because George may like that fight, but I can guarantee you he doesn't like the perspective of fighting all the rest of the animals in that division.
That becomes a problem too. If you want to be a chess player and look ahead, yes, I do believe George likes that fight and likes that matchup. Why? I don't know. Leave that to George, but I do believe he does like that and likes that matchup. Does he like the other guys at 185? No, probably not. George has even talked about going the other way and going down to 155. So there's no telling what he's going to do. Now, let's say the 155 thing is true. Why the greatest fighter of all time would leave his weight class ever is beyond me. But let's just say it's true. That the only reason he's going down is to take on Conor. He's not jumping into 150 for any other reason. So if we can find out any piece of this, any detail, any clue, if I could choose one, it would be, hey, what weight are you going to fight at? If I knew what weight he was going to fight at, I could tell you the opponent. If he fights Anderson, that's going to be a catch weight somewhere. If he fights at 185, then he's fighting Bisping. If he fights at 170, I don't know. I think then you do have a strong case for Diaz. If he fights at 155, guaranteed lock, stock, and barrel, he's fighting Conor McGregor. Yeah, man. I mean, it was just so off-putting, and sometimes the best offense is you just go quiet. I mean, that's a rule in politics. When a guy is hanging himself and cutting his own throat, you don't interrupt him. So I'm at the press conference. This is Tito's time. I'm ready to give it to him. I know full well that he tapped. I did not know that the cameras picked it up and everybody else would know he tapped. I know he verbally tapped because he yelled the word twice, tap, tap, as soon as I jumped on his neck. I knew he had a bad neck. He did that when he fought Liam McGeary. It's why I went to that position, because I thought I could get him to tap. None of that ever comes. I don't bring it up. And he's waiting for me to. He knows I'm going to I do not. I give him his moment because he's leaving the sport anyway. So what in the hell is the difference? He comes out, though, and he wants to talk about all of his fans that have stood by him through thick and thin. I'm looking around going, Tito, you don't have a fan in this building, man. You left your first wife. Your second wife left you, and you won't make an honest woman out of the third that's living in your house. You can't keep your own goddamn house together, and you want to talk about fans that are writing you 140 characters or less on Twitter? It's called delusion. He's a delusional nut job, and now he's coming out and he's saying he tried to fight Fedor. Why that has me worked up is just because it's not true, but now there's the opportunity I've been waiting for. All of a sudden, you're not retired, are you, Mr. Gang member? All of a sudden, you're back in the game, aren't you, suit boy? So what is it? Are you back or not? And I know he's got to come back. He's bust. He's a knucklehead. But there's also the opportunity that I was waiting on. If I knew that he wasn't really quitting, I would have told the story from the beginning.
Man, boy, it's hard to roll back into questions with a bomb like that, but I'm going to do my level best. This one comes from our boy Joe Cockrell. There's one question nobody has asked since signing with Bellator, and it drives me nuts. Have you spoken with Dana White?
Have I spoken to Dana White?
Yes.
Ask the question again. I was stuck on Tito. I was stuck on the nap from Mr. Gang member.
Suit boy.
I will stray pipe him into the creek.
What's a stray pipe?
You should Google that sometime. Mr. Gang member.
I just like the way it sounds. Stray pipe. There's one question that no one has asked since signing with Bellator, and it drives me nuts. Have you spoken with Dana White? And if yes, what did he say?
Yeah, I've spoken to Dana regularly, but I haven't talked any business with him. I'm not in business with him. I just have a friendly relationship, and that's it.
From Justin Carr, when are you guys going to get your own studio so stuff like the Vader interview doesn't happen and episodes can be longer if need be?
Yeah, what a pain in the ass. Hey, he asked a very fair question, Joel. I mean, we've been down here. They sent us an invoice. We pay on time every time, and we can't get a damn bit of respect around here. So, yeah, something like that is going to need to happen. Some of these shows have been cut short, and the fans don't even know that. some of these shows go an hour and a half. Some of them go 50 minutes. And fans probably look at that and go, oh, is there just nothing to talk about? No, there's things to talk about. They kick us out of the studio. It's ridiculous and it's annoying.
Kelly Patrick, what is Chael's advice for a parent raising a 7-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl from a grappling perspective?